Hello, beautiful people. How are you all doing today? I do hope you are well. I hope, if you're Northern Hemisphere, I hope you're somewhere cosy. Oh my goodness, and I hope your snow is beginning to melt. It feels like spring's going to be a bit late this year, doesn't it? I was chatting with Paul on the phone the other day and I said it feels like we've gone right back to the beginning of winter. Ugh. Look, it sometimes happens, you know, we have a cold, wet March. It just means for me that I'm going to be a bit later getting on with things in the garden. But because I'm changing the way I'm doing things in the garden this year, it's not so much of a panic. So, for example, by now I'd want to be digging trenches for spuds, getting cupboard beds ready for onions. I'm not doing those this year, so phew. I think I would be not panicking, but I'd be starting to get a bit stressed about when and how to do it all. But I was also remembering this time last year, shirt sleeves, gorgeous warm days in the garden. I was really kind of pushing on, I hadn't done anything in January and February because I'd been poorly with that chest thing. I was cracking on, and then boom, put my back out, getting my porridge oats out one morning, and ended up 4 weeks off the garden. So at that stage, I had got all horse muck on the different beds, but yeah, I lost 4 weeks. So really, last year I didn't start properly in the garden until mid-April. The only reason I'm mentioning that is we're talking about food today. I'm mentioning it because I was reminding myself of that the other day and thinking, well, you didn't really start till mid-April last year. So this year, don't stress about the horrible weather. And also because you're doing things a bit differently anyway. So yeah, no, it'll happen when it happens. Food. A woman commented the other day to say, I'd really like to see another shopping video soon. You haven't done one for ages. And I replied saying, well, it all gets a bit repetitive after a while. But that's what I'm doing today. It's a shopping video. Hang on a second. Oh, it's heavy today. It's a shopping video. That's heavy. Yeah, so I thought I'd do one today because it brings a few things up that I thought might be interesting for me to share with you, just about the operation of my mind. I sound like Judge Judy now. There are worse people to sound like. So today I have spent, I haven't done I've just got back, so I haven't turned the computer on in order to convert it into dollars, which I normally try to do. I'll do it in the description thingy below. I've spent £9.27, so that's under my weekly budget of 12 quid. However, there's a duplicate in here, which if I hadn't bought, my shopping this week would be £6.77. So a little over half of my actual budget. I'll explain that duplicate in a minute. The first thing to say, I almost need to remind myself and everyone, is that, that's a tiny amount of money to be spending on food. Let's call it £7 for a week of food. But of course, that everything I've bought today, everything is a supplement to what I've grown previous year, harvested and stored. So on top of everything in the shopping bag, I have got plenty of winter squash still. I've got loads still. Lots of beans, well, a good amount of beans, quite a lot of beans, both frozen and dried. I leave the dried till the very end because if I use up all my dried and I keep the freezer ones and my freezer breaks, I'm scuppered. So go through the freezers, get those eaten first. So squash, beans, loads of tomatoes, and I save them in two different ways. I save the majority, I would say about 75% of my preserved tomatoes are their au naturel, just tomatoes whizzed up, boom, in the freezer. The other 25% or so are saved as they're already cooked as a sauce. So they have added to them onions, peppers, herbs, garlic, what have you. So they're cooked and they're quite reduced. They're really thick and umptious. Yum, 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 yum. I like to preserve them in both those ways. Obviously, when they're au naturel, they're much more versatile. I can do whatever I want with them. But preserving as a sauce, that's such a quick and easy thing if I'm, if I'm just tired or busy or what have you. So, for example, that will be part of... I tell you what, I'll go through my shopping first and then I'm going to talk about what I might eat this week. So, yeah, always bear in mind that I've got stored produce, squash, beans, tomatoes, onions. I've got a load of onions still that I bought because my harvest ran out because it was a poor onion harvest last year. But when I bought some for bought ones for my use, I bought a bulk bag. Alongside that, of course, then I have things like rice and lentils and pasta, the store cupboard staples, of which I have good levels of everything at the moment. Put it this way, I didn't feel the need today to buy anything in that kind of range of things to stock up on. If I didn't go to the shops for a month, it would be longer. I could probably do no shopping whatsoever for even like 2 or 3 months, and I would eat every day. It's just it would all be stored and no fresh, so most of this is fresh. Anyway, so let's dive in. So I've gone to 3 different shops. I'll come to the Tesco one last. But anyway, and the other thing is, excuse me, it feels a bit weird doing this in the living room. But of course it's because I've emptied the kitchen. So we're at my kitchen table, but it's in the living room. Now, I could have gone back in the kitchen, just taken the chair in, and then I'd have my counter behind me to put all the food on. But the kitchen is sounding really, really echoey. Also, on the subject of the kitchen, folk have been asking me, have you been getting on with the kitchen? Well, no, not yet. It was never the plan to yet. I half emptied it a couple of weeks ago because of the new washing machine. Once the lavender bags, which should coincide pretty much with this video actually, once they're all done and dusted and out, then I can turn my attention to the kitchen. Anyway, that's in videos to come. Let's get back to the shopping. So I have bought myself, I mean, isn't that gorgeous? Cabbage head, a whopping big Savoy. This is going to do me for the whole week. I mean, I'll probably have a little bit of this most evenings. I've got another green to have as well. So yeah, beautiful. Savoy cabbage, I love it. I love the texture. I love the taste. Now, I'm not sure which way around these are in terms of price, but I think that was £1, nearly £1.50. This is from my greengrocer. I can buy everything loose. Brilliant. Where shall I put it? Is it going to mark the table? Are they damp? Hang on, I'm just going to bring a pad of paper. This is weird doing this in the living room. And then I've bought... Oh, I can't wait. Some people are going to go... Bleh. You see what it is? Yay! Yay for sprouts! Oh my God, I love sprouts. So these 2 were from the greengrocer, and it looks like they were like £1.49 each. One of them was £1.50, one was £1.48. It's not itemised, but yeah. There we go. Gotta give the evidence, otherwise the trolls jump down your throat. Now, I went to my greengrocer on my way home. I'd originally gone for going down to Lidl because I'd seen we get the you know, what Lidl's offers, we get a little sheet through the front door, it's like junk mail, and I saw that they had organic carrots on offer. Now, Lidl generally stock, they don't have a lot of organic stuff, but they pretty much nearly always have organic carrots. Brilliant. It's like the last 2 or 3 years, I can't grow carrots for some reason. So I popped along today hoping to get the organic. They'd sold out. I'm not surprised they were on offer. So I've ended up with a kilo of, they're not organic, but they're British. So they were, let me see now, 50 pence. So part of this shop, what I want to talk about today is these kind of dilemmas I go through with my shopping all the time, which is why it's great when you find a supplier for different things, so you don't have to have these ethical debates and dilemmas every day in your head. When I was talking the other day about, in that video about food and eating seasonally and trying to support our own farmers, and you know, God knows they need it. So I try to buy British as much as I can. So my cabbage, my sprouts are British. And the great thing is, with the cabbage, no packaging. With the sprouts, I forgot, I didn't have my veg bag with me. That's a never event. But at least it's a paper bag. And I'll pop these out of the paper bag. They'll go in the bottom of the fridge. I'll flatten the paper bag and I'll put that back in my shopping bag so that next time I'm out and about and I want to buy something loose that's small, I'll reuse the paper bag, of course. And you know what, if not, at the end of the day, it can be recycled. So, where I can, British, where I can, either zero packaging or paper, but these didn't come in paper. So what I was saying about I'd gone to Lidl first, in hindsight, what I could have done, which I ought to have done in my own version of ought to, is come up to my greengrocer to look at their loose carrots. Maybe they'd be a little bit more expensive. I think that's one of the dilemmas for my channel, full stop, is that I know a lot of folk come here for frugal advice, you know, what is the cheapest way we can eat? And I've tried to sort of say all along, for me, it's not, I'm almost frugal by accident. I'm not frugal by accident, am I? I'm frugal, I'm through thought, but it's kind of hard to explain. I'm not always necessarily looking for the cheapest. It's not that I want to eat for the cheapest amount possible. I want to eat well. I want to eat ethically as far as possible. And I don't have a lot of money to spend. So by virtue of that fact, yes, I do want to eat cheaply. But it's always balancing it out between, what cost to the planet if I eat really, really cheaply. Now, I just want to underline the fact that I know, you know, for me, I'm in a good position because I grow so much of my own food that when I am buying from the shops, because I don't have to buy very much at all, I can buy more expensive organic products. And I realise there's a lot of people who simply cannot make that choice. It's beyond them to make that choice. They just don't have the finances. And you know, someone getting food from a food bank, they have zero choice. They have to just get whatever has been donated. So I do realise I'm in a separate position that I can afford to buy organic food purely because I grow so much of my own food otherwise. So anyway, that's the dilemma. I'm trying to buy British and I'm trying to buy without plastic. So yeah, like I said, 50 pence for a kilo is crazy cheap. If I bought their organic ones, I think they are 95 pence a kilo. And like I said, they've been on offer, so they've all gone. But 95 pence a kilo, for me, I'm more than happy to pay that. The organic ones at 95p, they are still in a bag though. There's an item in here that's going to explain this dilemma more clearly. Okay, so then This is my treat. I like to have a treat every week, not like my treats for a tenner treat, like in terms of books and sweets and naughty things like that, but a food kind of, what's my one extra thing in food I'm going to get this week? So it might be a really lovely cheese. Oh, I should have bought some more of that Wensleydale. I didn't. Never mind. But so I've gone for some apples. And when I say treat, I mean they're a treat because if I didn't buy them, it wouldn't matter. They're not a meal. They're on top of all my meals and all my cooking. This is just on top of it, so it's a treat. So I've got 6 apples. I've got an apple a day. These are organic. They come in a cardboard tray. Great. And then they've got cling film on them. Not great. And they've come from Italy. So again, it's all that balancing. They were $1.99. Call it a couple of quid. And then also celery for 60p. Again, it's packaged. Why we anyway, look, I'm not going to go on about it too much. You know how I feel about all that. Let's talk. So that was my little shop came to £3.79. So far with Lidl and yeah, so there's another £2.50. Oh no, hang on. Also from Lidl. Careful, don't want to rip the packet. Good old porridge oats, 70 pence for a kilo. And it's a paper bag. Yay! So, look, I think, if you are on a tight budget, porridge oats, they've got to be just about the most economical breakfast you could possibly have. You can make your porridge in the morning with water. You can make, no addition. Or you can make it with your own homemade oat milk, as I do. And what was I saying? It's 5p a litre. So it's about 1.5p's worth of oat milk and a portion of this in the morning. It is dirt cheap. And the thing is, if you can, you might want to add things to it, of course. Dried fruit. Dried fruit is great in porridge, but of course dried fruit's quite expensive. I would suggest think ahead for this sort of summer or sort of late summer, early autumn. Do you have areas where you can go blackberry picking? Have you got some wild blackberries near you? If, as has happened to me in the past, I'm watering a neighbour's garden for them while they're away in the summer and they say, please help yourself to raspberries. There comes a point when people have got so many raspberries, so much soft fruit and no space in the freezer. So if you can, pick and freeze it, because then in the winter, get a handful out the night before, pop them in your porridge in the morning. Again, it's a free topping, isn't it, if you want something a bit sweeter. But yeah, the most budget breakfast. And if you can, with kids and grandkids, I know they want the bright, shiny boxes with the free toys or the cartoons on the cover, If you can get them on porridge really young, really early, brilliant. You will save a fortune. I mean, I don't even know how much boxed cereals are. I haven't eaten boxed cereals for... I honestly, I can't remember. 30 years, maybe? Just don't do boxed cereals. So I'm sure they're quite expensive. Okay, so that one was 70p for a kilo. And this is the duplicate. And this is, so this is kind of opening up this ethical dilemma discussion. I then went to Tesco because I'd spotted these the other day. Not the other day, it was ages ago, which is why I bought another thing of porridge oats. I've still got some porridge oats from... Look, I can't remember the timeline. I'd gone to Lidl to get my porridge oats, call it 4 weeks ago. They didn't have any in the stock. So I came up the hill, ended up going into Tesco's and bought a bag of... Is it Quaker oats? I can't remember. But while I was there, I spotted the organic, and it was that day I was going, oh, shouldn't I? And I think I had £2 in my purse that day. And this is back to that, how do you manage to never overspend, Vivi? It's because I use cash. So if I go to the shops with a tenner in my purse and I see something all twinkly, sparkly, yummy, it's going to take my bill to £12, £13. I have to say to myself, well, if I really want that sparkly thing, I'm going to have to put one of my other items back because I only have £10. Anyway, so today I did buy it. So I'd spotted that Tesco's do them. £2.50 for 3/4 of a kilo, 750 grams. Let's extrapolate that up. So it's another 80p, 250. So it'd be about £3.30 for a kilo, 3.30 a kilo versus 70p a kilo. So yeah, if you're on a really tight budget, Lidl. But now see, here's the thing as well. If you're on a really tight budget, you can afford the Lidl ones and the paper can go in the recycling. Here's some lovely organic ones, but they're in a plastic bag. So I'm going to open the vote. Which is better? Is it better to have organic in a plastic bag or non-organic in a paper bag? I'm kidding, let's not vote on it. I don't want to row. But I think it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like the non-organic, is that doing more damage to the land? Is the damage to the land worse than the damage by landfill of plastic? See what I mean about the ethical dilemma? Anyway, so that's a lovely thing of food today. Recap, okay, Savoy cabbage, Brussels sprouts, so that's my greens for the week. Carrots, kilo of carrots, and my celery. That's the basis for so much food. Treat, snack, yumminess, and then obviously I'm now stocked for porridge for the next couple of months or so. So it's not just my porridge, but then to make the oat milk to go into my porridge. So, what on earth are you going to eat this week, Vivi? What's your meal plan? Folk ask me so often about, can you do a meal plan, Vivi? I don't really, you know, the other day when I was talking about the food and seasonal short, whatever, and I was saying plan, so when you go shopping, and then, you know, take the stick out your eye, Vivi, because I don't really plan too strictly. So much of the way I eat it's sort of responsive in a way. I'm responding to what I've got, what's in season, what do I have a glut of. For instance, with the carrots, what's on offer? Is there an offer on, you know, especially if it's an organic product? So, yeah, it's just, and also, you know, sometimes I'll be eating something, loads of it, and I'm loving it. And then one day I suddenly go, I'm not enjoying it. Right, let's move on to something else. But right now, for this week or this coming week, the carrots and the celery and the onions I've got are a basis for so many soups. Chuck a load of lentil in. I've got my carrot and lentil soup. Pardon me. I could, if I've got some leftover sprouts or, you know, even with the cabbage, that can all go into a soup too. So generally speaking, I will have porridge for my breakfast. I will have a soup of some description for my lunch, and it'll be a bulked out soup, so it won't be a thin watery soup. There's always going to be something to it, like lentils, or, you know, I could put pasta in my soup, I could put rice in there. And then for my evening meals, you know, the squash. I mean, I love curry. I'll make a curry. I probably make curry easily once a week. So, you know, some carrots might end up in the curry. So essentially it'd be a squash curry, but all those beans in the freezer. I think I've got a can of chickpeas in the cupboard. I just kind of chuck it in and as I go along, see what I fancy. So I'm really sorry I can't be more more specific in terms of meal planning, I think more in terms of shopping for the week. You know, making sure I've got green stuff, because obviously a lot of my green stuff were wiped out this winter in the garden. So the carrots and celery, it's a bog standard every week, and then it's just how I mix it up. So a couple of days ago I made a tomato soup, a basic tomato soup, but then I jazzed it up, I put a load of beans in it, and then I had some leftover cooked rice that went in too, and then I added a bit of chilli. I'm experimenting. I'm not a huge spice person, as in I don't like things really, really hot. But I put some chilli in. I'd done this a couple of weeks ago and I put too much chilli in, but so tempered that this week. And that's a gorgeous, really hearty lunch, a really thick, beany, ricey soup. In fact, it's so thick, it would probably do I could probably have put it on a plate as an evening meal with a side of rice or pasta, what have you. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't be more specific, but I just kind of go with the flow, what I fancy. So, this time of year as well. Actually, a lot of my cooking all through the year is one pot. So think in terms of a stew with a tomato base. What I don't have, I've got some in the shed. I need to get back to the garden, actually. It's just been such foul weather. But I've got some spuds at the shed. It was the last ones that I dug up. So yeah, again, something like a stew, more of a stewy thing. Potatoes, squash, again, beans, chickpeas. Just chuck it in and see what happens. Yeah, so anyway, there we go. That's a week's shopping. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's all I need. I'm very glad, I'm very, very glad I have a garden. That's what makes this possible. I think when I move, in terms of planning a garden, when I move, I will think about, if it's a really small garden, it will it's going to be a massive change, isn't it? And I would say that when I move, if it's quite a small garden, I'm probably not going to get it right in the first year or the first 2 years. With my allotment garden, it took about 3 or 4 years for me to really get the idea of how much of each thing I need to grow to be self-sufficient in that thing for a whole year. And I doubt very much I'm going to have a garden that big. I don't really want a garden that big. Can't manage it, with the wonky knees. But it may be a case of saying to myself, well, what do I use a lot of? Tomatoes and beans. What things are expensive in the shops? That's always a great place to start with growing your own, is what is expensive to buy. It makes sense to grow the thing that's most expensive to buy. So for instance, potatoes, carrots, onions, we can get them fairly cheaply. But things like the tomatoes, the squash, some of the specialist brassicas, some of the specialist beans, Anyway, you get the idea. I'm waffling now. So there we go. Sorry, did I do that receipt? No, I didn't. So that's the £2.50 for the organic porridge. The £2.98, that's my greengrocer, where I can buy my stuff loose, and then Lidl, £3.79. I haven't got time today. I haven't really got time. Every day is crazy at the moment, but I think something I might do is I'm going to go to the greengrocer and make a note of the prices of some more of this, like the carrots and things, how they compare, and work out, even if it's a couple of pence more, would I rather go to the greengrocer and buy things loose than in the plastic? But then again, if there's an offer on organic carrots at 50p. I'm really going to be drawn to the organic cats for 50p despite the bag. You get the idea. It's like, oh, stop it, Vivi, you're going round in circles. I do my own head in. Right, that's it. I promised myself I'd try and make a shorter one today to keep the shorter ones people happy, if that makes sense. All right, lovelies. I'm going to go. I've got lots to get on with. You know, I keep hoping to get back to the garden. That doesn't look likely for at least another week and a bit because we are so damp at the moment. The temperature's doing that. We're having nights below freezing and then the next night it's above freezing. It's not so much the temperature, it's the damp, the wind. It just does my bones in and it makes it a miserable experience. So why put myself through the misery? I ain't gonna do it. But yeah, we'll get back to the garden at some point and all the other stuff I keep talking about. Things are going to happen and they're going to move along. We just have to go with the pace that we can manage, don't we? All right, lovelies, I need to get in the kitchen and get some soup on the go. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to do a carrot and lentil soup, obviously. And I will make enough portions for lunch today, lunch tomorrow, and 2 for the freezer. Because then by the 3rd day, I'll make another soup, a different kind of soup, and I'll do the same. I'll do soup for that day and the following day and 2 for the freezer. Yay! All right, lovelies, I'll see you all again really soon. Until the next time, please stay cosy if you're somewhere cold. Wherever you are, look after yourself and each other. For now, cheerio.